Hello, and welcome to the Folklore and Fiction Podcast. My name is Kelly MacCath-Moran. I'm a PhD candidate in the Folklore Department at Memorial University of Newfoundland, and I'm also a speculative fiction writer under the pseudonym C.S. MacCath. The Folklore and Fiction Podcast and Dispatch synthesize these passions with a focus on folklore scholarship aimed at storytellers. You'll find the Folklore and Fiction archive along with the rest of my work online at folkloreandfiction.com. Interested listeners will find a link to the current dispatch in the show notes, where a more comprehensive record of this episode can be found, including a bibliography and other references. In this episode, I'll be exploring ATU 1284, Person Does Not Know Himself, by way of an Irish story entitled Sean na Scuab, and ATU 1326, Moving the Church, by way of a German story by the same name. Both tale types feature short, humorous anecdotes about fools, and they form the foundation of this month's broader folkloristic discussion of comedic narrative. Sean na Scuab. Long ago, there was a poor man living in Buffacle, West Inverra. He was married. He made his living by making brushes and selling them in Cork a few times a year. After some years, the mayor of Cork died, and 3 men were in for the position. When the day of the election came, the 3 had the same votes. They went to a magistrate to decide between them, but he shook his head and said that he couldn't settle the matter. He told them to go out next morning to a certain place at the edge of the city, and to tell their troubles to the first man who came along. Whoever that man named would become mayor. They did so. The first man to come along was Sean of the Brushes, with a load of brushes on his shoulder. The 3 of them stopped him and told him their story. He listened to them and said it would be hard to pass over 2 of them and elect the other. So he told them that the best plan was to elect himself mayor. They did so. That was that. Sean's old wife was at home when she heard that her husband was mayor of Cork, with a gold chain across his chest and 2 grey horses drawing him from place to place. She set out and never stopped until she reached Cork. She looked about, and next day she saw Sean being drawn by 2 grey horses, a Caroline hat on his head, and a big gold chain hanging down from his neck. She went over to him. "Stay out from me, old woman," he shouted. "Are you my husband, Sean?" she asked. "I am," said he, "but keep away from me and don't pretend to know me. I don't even know myself." Moving the church. The church was not standing in the proper place. In the opinion of city fathers, it had to be pushed back a little. So they started pushing. One of them became especially warm. He took off his coat and placed it behind the church on the very spot to which the church was being moved. A traveling journeyman came along, took the coat, and disappeared. When the owner of the garment looked for it, he believed, and so did the city fathers, that they had pushed the church over the coat. They were very pleased with the success of their effort. Both ATU 1284, Person Does Not Know Himself, and ATU 1326, Moving the Church, are anecdotes and jokes under the subcategory Stories About a Fool, and the ATU Index summarizes them this way, quote, 1284, Person Does Not Know Himself, including the previous type 1531A. While a foolish man, farmer, numbskulls, sleeps, someone modifies his appearance, puts a cap on his head, cuts his beard or hair off, dresses him in new clothes, takes away a significant object, etc. When the fool wakes up, he does not know himself or mistakes himself for someone else. J. 2012. 1326, Moving the Church. Fools want to move, expand their church or town hall. As a mark, they put down a coat, jacket, while the fools push hard together against This episode of the Folklore and Fiction Podcast is a preview, and you can listen to the full episode on the Folklore and Fiction website. Just click on the dispatch link in the show notes or go to folkloreandfiction.com and sign up for a free account. Thanks very much for your interest. Copyright 2019 to 2023. Kelly S. MacCath-Moran. All rights reserved unless Creative Commons licensing is specifically applied.